Good day, YouTubers. I have been asked a request from a friend, Liz, my sister at Windsor Valley Railroad, to do a tutorial on how I make my scrap loads. I never took a whole lot of pride in my work, but it does get a lot of attention. And folks, this is so simple, and it doesn't cost anything. You know me. Oh, Jesse in Oklahoma. Let's keep it cheap. So anyway, for the tools, you don't need anything special. Some scissors, a marker, and I'll explain why. I use a little pry tool for special reasons. A pair of clippers. The final project will require some glue and some paint. Brown, pick your color, it doesn't matter which. I have this cheap stuff, and a clear coat, of course, to protect your work. When I make my scrap loads, folks, I take that word serious, scrap. And boy, do I mean scrap. Scrap. Things you have laying around that you throw in the trash. Cardboard pieces, plastic bits, the little ringer tops off your milk jugs, ballpoint pens that don't work anymore, the the sprues off your models, when you, stuff you would throw away, that is what you want to use. And it doesn't cost anything, so that's what I do. I'm going to need some cardboard. Any old cardboard scraps will work. And I use a marker, and I trace around the gondola onto the cardboard, and I make me a base. So, without further ado, what we're going to do here is we're going to stick our base in our gondola. And see, I can do this with one hand, so there ain't no excuses out there. You're going to want this thing cut to fit pretty tight. Don't look like I picked a good gondola to work with. Let's try this one. You're going to want this to fit in here pretty snug. That way it'll catch, any excess glue. You don't want all your glue to end up underneath on the bottom. So you cut your cardboard, you fit it into your gondola base, and then you take your scissors, just regular scissors, and cut these little scraps, pieces. When you get into this stuff like this that won't cut with scissors, I use these little snippers and snip those into little bits and pieces. And then I take my bits and pieces that I have collected, and I just pour them into my gondola. Oops, I guess I should show you what I'm doing. Me and my one-handed videos. You're going to want to continue to do this until you have this thing all filled up. All filled up. You want it to look good and full and full, make it look full. That's the trick, to making it look realistic, is to make it full. Fill that thing up. Just keep cutting and cutting and cutting until you get that thing filled up. I know y'all have a bunch of gondolas around. I see them on all your videos, and they're running empty. So now you have no excuse why you have empty gondolas anymore. So anyway, after you've got this thing all filled up with bits and pieces and scraps, you're going to use your glue, and I just use regular Elmer's glue. You're going to fill this thing full of glue and let it dry. Probably take overnight, because you're going to fill it up pretty full. I use quite a bit of glue on mine because I don't want these things to come apart and end up all over the layout and in the tracks and, that kind of thing. Trying to watch my notes here, so pardon the hesitation. I'm not a tutorial host, remember? So yeah, after you fill it with glue, let it dry. Um, and after it's all good and dry, I use this little little guy here, to pick this thing back out. I should use two hands, but you'll be picking this thing back out of there. Okay, so it's not a big deal. Just pick that thing back out of there, and at that point, I take it outside and paint it. Um, I just use brown spray paint, whatever you can get your hands on. You could use highlight markers, chalk dust, anything you want to do to highlight these things to make them satisfactory to your desire, whatever it is you want them to look like. Sorry about my sloppy videos. Like I said, guys, I'm not a tutorial host, and I wouldn't do this without a request. I figure everybody already knows how to do things like this, and that's just me. So anyway, you remove it with your pick there, remove that out of there and paint it brown. And of course, let that dry again, probably overnight, a few hours. Maybe if you can find a nice warm day, it'll dry pretty quick. I highlight the scraps with a fine dust, a brown chalk dust. I don't know if you can see that. Gives it a little more rust effect, and kind of alters the color variation just a bit, so it's not all just one solid color. After this thing is all painted up and dry, then it should look something like this. I collect, I'll just dump it out here on the table. I collect this little bits of stuff here through the days, as the days go by. When I'm working on something or come across something I want to save. The purpose behind this is to give it these fine details. See the super glue lid right there, some ballpoint pen pieces, little pieces of pipe, that kind of thing. That brings the realism into it. So you're going to start out with a bunch of this stuff, and it's just for filler. These are just clippings that you've used from your milk jug tops and your pieces of sprues and whatnot. And then I collect little bits of stuff. Here's an old broken wheelbase, pin tops, you name it, folks. Whatever you got, old couplers, broken bits and pieces, things you find on the ground. You say, hey, that'll work. And what I do there, after this is starting to set up with glue, I add those detail pieces on the top, and that gives that the unusual appearance. See, none of mine are ever the same. They're like snowflakes. There's no two alike, and I have a bunch of these. That's pretty much it. Spray paint this stuff brown, and after it's good and dry, and you've highlighted it the way you want it with your dust or markers or whatever, give it a nice clear coat to protect it, and you will have scrap loads running out your ears. No more excuses for empty freight cars. If you need a suggestion for some flat cars or other gondola effects, those are plastic straws, drinking straws, like you throw away every time you stop at Quick Trip and get you a Coke. Save them up, or just go to the store and buy some. I just painted these gray. I painted those brown. Same effects. There's no reason to have empty freight cars. Folks, I hope this has been helpful. I don't really do tutorial videos, but I was asked to do so. Liz, I love you, girl. I hope this helps you. And to all of the rest of the viewers out there, have a safe and happy weekend. Fill up them freight cars, and I'll talk to you down the track.